You have just been asked to maintain an ABAP program written by someone who left the project 2 years ago. There are no comments. Variable names are I, J, temp and X. There is a select star inside a loop. There are no unit tests. And there is a breakpoint statement that somehow survived into the production transport. This module is about making sure you never leave code like that behind. F10 covers slight naming conventions, the code inspector, your automated quality gate, and ABAP unit testing so you can prove your code works before it ever reaches a real system. By the end of this module, you will be able to apply slight naming conventions consistently across all variables, tables, structures, constants, and object references. You will organize objects into packages correctly and never use $TMP. You will run the code inspector and interpret its findings. You will write an ABAP unit test class using the for testing addition, implement setup and teardown, and use the assert methods to verify your logic. You will recognize the anti-patterns that make code unmaintainable and know how to eliminate them. Module 1 focuses on getting code right at the point of writing, naming standards, package and transport strategy, the code inspector, and the anti-patterns the peer review will flag. The next 5 slides walk through each of these in turn before we move to ABAP unit testing in Module 2. Objects live in packages. Packages define which transport request objects belong to and which system they should be imported into. For training, all your lab objects go into training_initials. This keeps the training namespace clean and separate from real project work. For projects, create one package per functional area. ZACME_MM for materials management, ZACME_SD for sales and distribution, and so on. For large projects, use nested subpackages. Never use $TMP. Objects in $TMP cannot be transported and are deleted on system refresh. Every object in a SAP project must be in a proper package with a transport request from the moment it is created, not added later. Transport request naming follows the pattern: project, module, space, brief description. For example, ACME:/MMPO approval workflow. This makes the transport history readable 6 months later. Naming conventions might seem like a formality, but they are the single most impactful thing you can do for code readability and maintainability. When a developer reads LV_vendor_name, they know immediately this is a local variable, it is a scalar value, and it holds a vendor name. When they read X, they know nothing. Slight uses the Hungarian-style prefix system. For local variables, those declared inside a method or form, use LV_4 scalar variables, LT_4 internal tables, LS_4 structures and work areas, and LC_4 constants. For global variables, declared at program level, replace L with G, GV_, GT_, GS_, GC_. For object references, use low_locally and go_globally. For program and object names, always start with Z or Y. This is an SAP rule. Slight programs follow the patterns training_F and N. Initials, for training objects, and Z, project, module, object, for real project work. Examples: ZACME_MM_approval, ZACME_invoice. The 3 columns on this slide are your quick reference, object name patterns, variable scope prefixes, and the anti-patterns to avoid. Keep them open during code review. 3 ways to run the code inspector. Pick the one that matches where you are in the development cycle. Quick check from SE38 or SE80. Menu program, then check, then code inspector, or Shift plus Control plus F4. Results appear in the Messages panel. Double-click a finding to jump to the line. This is your fast feedback loop while developing a single object. Full check from Transaction SCI. Create an inspection over a whole package or program. Pick a check variant, slight_standard or default, and run. Schedule via SE38 RS_program for nightly runs across a package. This is what you run before a transport release. ATC in Eclipse ADT, right-click the project or package in the Project Explorer. Run as then ABAP Test Cockpit. Results appear in the ATC results view. Exemptions follow the ATC workflow and need an approver. This is the cloud-aligned tool you will use on S/4HANA projects. SCI findings come in 3 priorities. High means fix before transport release, full stop. Medium means fix or document a formally approved exception. Low is best practice, fix it in the same sprint. Slight rule: no high findings in any transport request. The Code Inspector is SAP's built-in static analysis tool. Think of it as an automated code reviewer that never gets tired, never forgets the rules, and applies them consistently to every line of code. It checks 4 main categories. First, naming conventions. It verifies that program names start with Z or Y, that variable prefixes match SLIDE standards, and that no single letter or generic variable names exist. Second, SQL performance. It flags select star, select statements inside loop blocks, missing where clauses, and for all entries without the is not initial check. These are the 4 most common performance killers in ABAP. Third, security and authorization. Missing authority check before accessing sensitive data, hard-coded client numbers, unprotected user input fields, and unsanitized parameters. Fourth, code robustness, breakpoint statements that were never removed, unreachable code after return or exit, unchecked SY subarc after DML and function module calls, and empty catch blocks. Cover all 4 categories and you will have eliminated the vast majority of the findings the slight peer review picks up. 3 anti-patterns to eliminate from your code permanently, plus the mindset that prevents them coming back. Magic numbers, a literal value like 50 or 0.10 buried inside an if or formula tells the reader nothing. Replace every magic number with a named constant. Constants threshold type I value 50. Now the code reads if ls_line menge threshold. A human can understand that without knowing what 50 means. Deep nesting, 3 or 4 levels of nested if and loop blocks make code extremely hard to follow and test. The solution is always the same. Extract the inner logic to a method with a meaningful name. If should_process, lv_flag lv_count, is readable, 3 nested ifs are not. No error handling, calling a BAPI and not checking the return table is one of the most dangerous patterns in ABAP. A failed BAPI call with an empty return check looks like a success. Always read the return table for type E entries after any BAPI call. And always roll back work and raise an exception if an error is found. Clean ABAP mindset: code is read 10 times more than it is written. Optimize for the next developer. Meaningful names, small methods, single responsibility. Bookmark the SAP Clean ABAP Style Guide on GitHub. It is the definitive reference. Module 2 moves from preventing bad code to proving good code. We cover the unit test skeleton, production class plus for testing class, the risk level and duration attributes that govern when tests can run, how to invoke tests from SC80 and Eclipse ADT, and how to read the results panel when something fails. By the end, you should be able to write a test class for any pure calculation method without looking at the slides. Unit testing in ABAP uses a built-in framework. You write test classes in the same program as the code under test. The framework keeps them hidden from production execution. The key addition is for testing, placed on the class definition. This tells ABAP, this class is a test class, never execute it in production. You also declare risk level and duration for pure unit tests that make no database changes. Always use risk level harmless and duration short. The test class follows a consistent pattern. In the private section, declare a member variable for the class under test, conventionally named mo_cut, standing for member object class under test. Declare the setup and teardown methods, and declare each test method with for testing. Setup runs automatically before each individual test method. Use it to create a fresh instance of the class under test and any test data. Teardown runs after each test. Clear the object reference and delete any test records written during the test. Each test method is a small, focused function that tests one specific behavior. The body calls the class under test, then uses the cl_abap_unit_assert static class to check the result. The code on this slide is the production class on the left, the test class definition in the middle, and the implementation on the right. 2 attributes on the test class definition govern when and how a test is allowed to run. Risk level harmless, no data changes. Default for pure calculation, formatting, and read-only logic. This is correct for almost every unit test you write. Dangerous, may change DB data, needs an isolated test environment. Critical, may break the system. Rarely used and requires written approval before execution. Duration short, under 1 second per test method. Use for unit tests. Cheap enough to run continuously while developing. Medium, up to 60 seconds, for integration tests. Long, over 60 seconds. Avoid in unit test classes and move to a dedicated integration suite. For the assert methods themselves, CL_ABAP_unit_assert provides assert_equals exp plus act plus message. Assert_differs, assert_true, assert_false, assert_initial, assert_not_initial, assert_bound, and assert_is. The message parameter is the single most important thing to get right. Write it as a positive statement of what should be true, because that is what shows up in the results panel 6 months later. 2 ways to run ABAP unit tests and how to read the results when something fails. In SE80, run unit tests from the program menu, Test, Unit Tests, or press Ctrl plus Shift plus F10. A results panel appears below the editor. Green bar means all tests passed. Red bar means failures. Expand to see which test method failed, what the assert message said, and the expected versus actual values. Double-click a failure to jump directly to the failing line. In Eclipse ADT, right-click the program or test class in the Project Explorer and choose Run as ABAP Unit Test. The ABAP unit view shows a JUnit-style results tree. Each test method shows a green tick or red X. Click a red X to see the full failure detail, including the message text, expected, and actual values. Slight standard. All unit tests must pass before a transport request is released. A failing test means the transport is blocked. Do not override this. If the test itself is wrong, fix the test. If the production code is wrong, fix the production code. Either way, make it green before you release. The slight peer review checklist condenses everything F10 has covered into the 4 categories every reviewer signs off on before a transport is released. Naming, variable prefixes, LV_LT_/LS_/LC_ and globals. Z or Y on every repository object, package assigned, never $TMP. SQL, no select star. Every select has a where clause. No select inside loop. For all entries guarded with IS not initial. Error handling SY subarc checked after every DML and function module call. Try and catch for all OO calls that raise. No empty catch blocks. Cleanup used where resources are allocated. Testing and sign-off, unit tests written for all calculation logic, all unit tests green. SCI completed with no high findings outstanding. Code reviewed by a peer before TR release. Every box ticked equals ready for transport. Any box unticked equals not ready. Go back and finish. This slide is the F10 mental model in one picture. Write, check, test. Write with standards from day 1. Z or Y prefix on every repository object, LV_/GV_/LT_/LT_/GS_/LC_/GC_ on every variable. Constants for magic literals. Small methods. No method over 40 lines. Inline data for one-shot variables. The cheapest time to apply a standard is when the line is first typed. Check with the code inspector. Run SCI before every commit using the /standard variant. Resolve all high and medium findings. Document LOW findings inline if intentional. No transport release while high findings are outstanding. Test with ABAP unit. 1 for testing class per cut. Setup and teardown for isolation. Assertions through CL_ABAP_unit_assert. Assert_equals. Assert_true. Assert_initial. Run with Ctrl plus Shift plus F10 in SE80 or run as unit test in Eclipse ADT. All tests green before the TR is released. 3 steps. Apply all 3 on every line of code you ship. This is the summary slide for F10. 4 habits distilled from everything we have covered. They should appear in every line of code you ship from this point on. 1. Naming and packages. Z prefix on every repository object. LV_/GV_/LT_/LS_/GS_/LC_/GC_ on every variable. 1 package per project module. Never $TMP. Apply from the first line of code you write. 2. The code inspector. Run SCI or ATC in ADT before every transport release. Slight_standard variant. Resolve all high and medium findings. No release while high findings are outstanding. 3. ABAP unit tests. A for testing class with risk level harmless and duration short for every cut method. Assertions through CL_ABAP_unit_assert. All tests green before the TR is released. 4. Peer review. Peer review is our quality gate. Every change reviewed before transport. Reviewer signs off on naming, SQL, error handling, and tests using the standard checklist. That completes module F10, and with it, the slight foundation track. 10 modules. F01 through F04, language fundamentals. F05 through F07, control flow, internal tables, modularization. F08, OpenSQL and performance. F09, debugging and exceptions, and F10, code quality. 3 takeaways to leave you with from F10. 1. Standards are not decoration. They are how we scale. LV_/GV_ prefixes. Z packages and naming consistency let any slight consultant pick up your code and ship to production without rework. The cost of one convention is paid once. The cost of inconsistency is paid every time someone reads the code. 2. The code inspector is your first reviewer. Run SCI before you commit, not after the peer review flags it. High findings block the transport. Medium findings get fixed or get a documented exception. Treat SCI output as a checklist, not a suggestion. 3. Untested code is broken code waiting to happen. ABAP unit is not optional. 1 for testing class per cut. Risk level harmless and duration short. Assertions through CL_ABAP_unit_assert. Every test green before the TR is released. Your future on-call self will thank you. Your lab for this module. Take the poorly written Acme program, apply SCI checks, rename every variable to slight conventions, replace magic numbers with constants, and write a unit test class with at least 3 test methods. Present to your facilitator for foundation track sign-off, then onto the classic ABAP track. Good luck, and well done for completing foundation.